Jelly Roll has never been the kind of artist who blends into the background. From tattoos that tell stories to lyrics that bleed honesty, he's built a career on being unapologetically raw. But lately, it's not just his music that has people talking, it's his transformation. The country rap star who once carried the weight of his struggles on his body is now turning heads for how far he's come. So what exactly has changed about Jelly Roll and how did he pull it off? Stick around, because his transformation story is one you'll want to see for yourself. From Antioch to infamy, the backstory that made Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll has always been the kind of artist who wears his scars like armor. The man behind hits like Need a Favor, Save Me, and I Am Not Okay didn't just stumble into country stardom. He clawed his way there, dragging a past full of prison time, addiction, and heartbreak right into his lyrics. That underdog grit became his signature, and fans connected because every verse sounded like it had been lived, not just written. But long before awards and sold-out shows, Jelly Roll, born Jason Bradley DeFord in Nashville on December 4th, 1984, was just a kid growing up in Antioch, carrying more than his share of chaos. His dad, Horace Buddy DeFord, hustled meat by day and booked bets on the side. His mom battled addiction and mental health struggles, but she was also the one who first sparked his love of music. George Strait and Garth Brooks often played in the background. And that's where Jelly Roll discovered how songs could tell stories that burrowed deep into people's hearts. The nickname that stuck with him for life came from her, too. As a chubby little kid, his mom called him Jelly Roll. Decades later, it would become his stage name, though by 2024, he admitted he preferred friends just call him Jelly, laughing that people should delete the roll. Music pulled him in early. Around 9 or 10 years old, he scribbled his first rap song, fueled by the idea that he wanted to create something that made people feel the way music made his mother feel. By 8th grade, he was pressing mixtapes into eager hands in the parking lot of a local high school, already hustling his way into people's ears. Then came the split. When his parents divorced at 13, life hardened. Feeling the weight of responsibility for his mom, Jelly Roll turned to the streets, selling drugs as a way to put money on the table. He once admitted that when his father left, he thought somebody had to step up and try to figure out some money. In true hustler fashion, he even started slipping free rap mixtapes into sales. Music and survival bleeding into each other before he was even old enough to drive. Still, through the chaos, his father never stopped being a presence. Buddy, who passed away from cancer in March 2019, taught him lessons that stuck longer than the street hustle. His father taught him lessons about manhood and humanity. Jelly Roll has shared that his dad was the one who taught him to despise racism and to carry himself with pride no matter what life threw his way. Fast forward to today, and Jelly Roll looks every bit the country star Nashville didn't see coming. The kid who once hustled mixtapes in parking lots is now standing on stages that once felt impossible. After pivoting from rap to country, he didn't just knock on Nashville's doors, he blew them wide open. By November 2023, he was holding the CMA's New Artist of the Year trophy, with a Grammy nod for Best New Artist following close behind. Then, in October 2024, he doubled down with Beautifully Broken, an album that reminded everyone why his fans connect so fiercely. The honesty in his music cut straight to the bone. But those triumphs didn't come without scars. Long before awards and accolades, Jelly Roll's life was a carousel of arrests, courtrooms, and cells. He was only 14 the first time he landed behind bars. By his own count, shared in his 2023 documentary, Jelly Roll, Save Me, he would go on to be arrested around 40 times. Each stint chipped away at him, but none more than what happened at 16. That's when he was charged with aggravated robbery, an adult crime for a teenager who hadn't even finished growing. Facing a possible 20-year sentence, he ultimately served just over a year in jail. and spent more than 7 years on probation. Looking back, he admitted that being charged as an adult before he was old enough to buy a beer, rent an apartment, or even legally purchase cigarettes left him feeling like the justice system had boxed him into a single path. And it's a path that still casts a shadow because of Tennessee's zero-tolerance laws for violent offenders. That conviction remains on his record. To this day, he can't vote, volunteer at nonprofits, or own a firearm. The trouble didn't end with the law. Alongside dealing, Jelly Roll wrestled with his own demons, leaning on cough syrup, Xanax, and as coping mechanisms. Years later, with a career finally taking flight, he turned that darkness into a mission. He began visiting rehabilitation centers, not as a cautionary tale, but as living proof that redemption is possible. One turning point stands out above the rest. At 23, while locked up once again for dealing, Jelly Roll was blindsided with news that would flip his world upside down. On May 22, 2008, a correctional officer told him he had become a father. That moment, he recalled, felt like a biblical Damascus Road experience. In an instant, he knew he had to change. He couldn't keep living the same destructive cycle. And that's when his transformation truly started. Not long after, he was transferred into the prison's education unit, where he earned his GED before walking out the gates in 2009. That release wasn't just freedom. It was the first step toward the man he's become. From mixtapes to CMA Gold, how Jelly Roll broke Nashville's rule book. When Jelly Roll walked out of prison in 2009, he didn't step into fame, he stepped into a van. For years, from 2010 to 2015, that van became his home as he chased a dream that seemed impossibly far away. He poured his past into music, uploading raw freestyle raps to YouTube that painted the truth of his life, healing, incarceration, and the chaos he had lived through. One of those clips, 10-minute freestyle, changed everything. The video caught the eye of rapper Lil White, who saw something in Jelly Roll worth betting on. White invited him into a collaboration that became the 2011 album Year Round, alongside fellow rapper BPZ under the name SNO. That project cracked open the door, and it was White who first saw something Jelly Roll himself hadn't realized, that his voice wasn't just made for rap. He recalled White telling him that singing was what he should be doing. At the time, Jelly Roll brushed it off, thinking he was just harmonizing, but later admitted that he hadn't even known what a harmony was back then. Momentum began to build. In 2011, his joint album with Nashville rapper Haystack, Strictly Business, landed at number 67 on Billboard's top R&B/hip-hop albums chart. 2 years later, he reunited with White for No Filter, which broke into the top rap albums chart at number 17. By 2017, he was teaming up with Struggle Jennings, grandson of country outlaw royalty for Waylon and Willie. Named after Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson, the album mixed grit with heritage and sparked a series that ran for 4 more releases over the next few years. Even then, Jelly Roll only dipped his toe into singing. Full songs felt like too much of a leap, until one track pushed him to dive in completely. That track was Save Me. Written in a blur and uploaded to YouTube within 2 days in May 2020, Save Me stripped away rap entirely. What was left was Jelly Roll's voice, laid bare against the weight of hopelessness. The song resonated instantly. John Loba, then president of BMG Nashville, remembered being struck by the pain, the vulnerability, and the tenderness in Jelly's delivery. To him, it was a country song waiting to happen. He believed Jelly Roll's heart, storytelling, and brand belonged in the genre. BMG signed him, placing him among heavyweights like Jason Aldean and Lainey Wilson. In September 2021, Jelly Roll released his first major studio album, Ballads of the Broken, featuring Dead Man Walking and Son of a Sinner. By March 2022, Son of a Sinner had debuted on the country airplay chart, and by January 2023, climbed all the way to #1. The milestones started stacking up. On November 9th, 2021, Jelly Roll made his debut at the Grand Ole Opry, a stage he once would have thought unreachable. By February 2023, he had shattered records by spending 25 weeks atop Billboard's Emerging Artists chart, the longest run in history. 2 months later, he walked into the CMT Music Awards and left with 3 trophies, including Breakthrough Male Video of the Year. That same year, he hit the road on his 44-city Backroad Baptism tour, cementing himself as one of country music's most unlikely breakout stars. Recognition from the industry soon followed. In September 2023, Jelly Roll scored 5 CMA nominations, including Male Vocalist and New Artist of the Year. On social media, he called it a win for underdogs and the forgotten. The Grammy spotlight came next. Jelly Roll earned 2 nominations, including Best New Artist and Best Country Duo/Group Performance for Save Me with Lainey Wilson. He didn't take home the gold that night, but the momentum never dipped. In April 2024, he snagged 3 CMT Music Awards, including the coveted Video of the Year for Need a Favor. Later that November, he walked into the CMA Awards again with nominations for Entertainer of the Year, Album of the Year for Whitsit Chapel, and a second nod for Male Vocalist. And then came another level. In October 2024, Jelly Roll dropped Beautifully Broken. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. His first time at the very top, its lead single, I Am Not Okay, tackled mental health struggles head-on and soared into the top 5 of Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart. A month later, the track landed him 2 more Grammy nominations for Best Country Song and Best Country Solo Performance. By the end of 2024, Jelly Roll was no longer just country's unlikely star. He was one of its biggest. He headlined CBS's New Year's Eve Live, Nashville's Big Bash, to ring in 2025, then stepped into a new role as artist-in-residence on American Idol. This spring, he's headlining Stagecoach, before hitting the road with Post Malone for the Big Ass Stadium Tour. From living out of a van to lighting up stadiums, Jelly Roll's journey is more than music. His story isn't just about making it big. It's about proving that broken doesn't mean finished. But music is only half the story. The other half is love, the kind that's messy, loud, and impossible to ignore. Because standing right beside him through every high and every storm has been Bunny XO. Love, Tattoos, and Bunny XO. Inside Jelly Roll's wild ride romance. Love stories don't always follow the rules, and Jelly Roll and Bunny XO are living proof of that. Their marriage has been messy, wild, and unfiltered, and that's exactly what makes it so compelling. From a chance meeting in a Vegas bar to wedding vows sealed in a courthouse before midnight, their romance has unfolded with the same raw energy that defines Jelly's music. 8 years in, they've survived the storms, embraced the chaos, and built something that looks nothing like ordinary, but everything like theirs. It all started in 2015, when Bunny went to the Las Vegas Country Saloon to catch a show. Jelly was performing that night, still grinding his way through life on the road, still living out of a van. They connected, and not long after, she reached out to him. At the time, Bunny was clawing her way out of an abusive relationship, and instead of Jelly making the first move, it was her who shot her shot. They already had mutual friends, so when her relationship ended, she extended an invitation. He could stay at her Vegas home while he was in town. That decision changed everything. A year later, the whirlwind was in full swing. Jelly proposed during a Yellow Wolf and Deftones concert in Las Vegas in 2016, and in true Vegas fashion, the couple didn't wait. With only 45 minutes before the courthouse closed, they decided to seal the deal that very night. It was impulsive, messy, and unforgettable, just like them. Looking back on those early years, Bunny admitted they were nothing short of a rodeo. She reflected that when you get married that quickly, you're still learning who the other person really is. There were growing pains and plenty of frying pan moments, but in the end, it was worth it. Therapy became a lifeline. Both have been open about how couples counseling helped them navigate the hard seasons and come out stronger. From the start, Jelly and Bunny refused to follow anyone else's blueprint for marriage. They've spoken openly about having an open relationship, choosing honesty and freedom over secrecy. Bunny once explained that they allow each other to be who they want to be, even if that means exploring with others. It's unconventional, but it works for them. Their transparency has extended beyond their marriage into Bunny's career. When they met, she was working as an escort, something neither of them has shied away from addressing. Bunny later shared that retiring from work in 2023 was terrifying. Letting go of the money, the lifestyle, and the independence she'd always fought to maintain. But she said faith carried her through, and stepping fully into her Bunny XO brand turned out to be the best decision she ever made. She explained that even after marrying Jelly, she insisted on keeping her own financial independence, and he never once asked her to give that up. He always told her that one day she wouldn't have to do it anymore. And eventually, that day came. Together, they've built a blended family. Jelly's daughter, Bailey, born in 2008, lives with them and often appears on their social media, her bond with Bunny clear and strong. His younger son, Noah, is rarely in the spotlight by choice, a decision the couple has made to protect his privacy and respect his mother. Now, nearly a decade into their marriage, Jelly and Bunny are ready to take on their next chapter, trying for a baby of their own. In 2024, they revealed on both her Dumb Blonde podcast and the Bussin' with the Boys podcast that they were beginning IVF. Jelly admitted that the idea of becoming a dad again at almost 40 made him realize he had to take better care of himself, that he needed to live long enough to walk this child into adulthood. Bunny shared that they originally planned to keep the journey private, but decided to open up about it because their relationship has always been about honesty and breaking stigmas. She admitted the road was already hard, with odds stacked against them, but they were excited and scared in equal measure. She wrote that they never thought they'd want to expand their family, but something changed in them both, and now they wanted a piece of themselves reflected in a new life. She captioned the announcement with words full of hope: God willing, baby DeFord, 2026. From a one-night Vegas wedding to couples therapy, from escort work to brand building, from Jelly's prison past to their shared dreams of parenthood, this is a love story that refuses to be tidy. It's raw, it's real, and it's still being written. Headlines and hot mess moments. Jelly Roll's controversy trail. Jelly Roll has never been afraid of a little chaos. If anything, controversy seems to follow him the way smoke clings to fire. The tattoos, the gravel in his voice, and the raw lyrics that hit like confessions. Fans already know he's lived a life full of ups and downs. But beyond the music, Jelly Roll has built a reputation for stirring the pot, whether it's sparring with corporations, clapping back at fans, or shrugging off the kind of drama that would send other artists running for cover. Take his battle with Waffle House, for instance. Back in 2013, Jelly thought it was clever to name his mixtape Whiskey, Weed, and Waffle House. But the breakfast chain didn't find it quite so funny. He later explained that what he had unknowingly walked into was trademark infringement. Waffle House responded by freezing his YouTube channel, sending a cease and desist, and threatening to sue. The whole thing turned into what he described as a debacle, only resolved when he paid a $10,000 settlement. For Jelly, it became just another story to laugh about years later. Proof that even a mixtape title could cause a full-blown war. That wasn't the last time Jelly Roll's world collided with controversy. He and his wife, Bunny XO, have been open about living in an unconventional marriage, and while they see it as freeing, not everyone agrees. In 2024, Bunny met one of her so-called hall passes, Chris Cerulli of the metal band Motionless in White, and shared the encounter on TikTok. She posted a clip of herself shaking his hand, throwing in a cheeky gesture as he performed, and joked in the caption that they were basically in love. Jelly didn't just approve, he hyped it up in the comments with a playful "bout time" and laughing emojis. But while the couple saw it as harmless fun, fans weren't so amused. Accusations of disrespect and questions about their marriage started flying. Instead of bowing to the criticism, Bunny clapped back by sharing a screenshot of her texts with Jelly, showing how they both thought the video was hilarious. In a caption, she made it clear she wasn't interested in living by anyone else's rules. She wrote that people were too insecure to let their partners joke around, reminding them that her husband was not only her partner, but also her best friend and the love of her life. Even when the drama doesn't come from Bunny, Jelly Roll isn't immune to fan backlash. His appearance at the 2024 NBA All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis was one example. Fans had been hyped for the show, but doors opened at 9 p.m., and Jelly didn't take the stage until close to 11:30. The delay started a flood of complaints on social media. Jelly quickly cleared the air, explaining that the late start was written into his contract and completely out of his control. He also pushed back against claims that he only played for 45 minutes, insisting he clocked 57 minutes, and even regretted coming off 3 minutes early because the crowd had been so electric. For him, the night was a success, but some fans weren't as forgiving. And then there's the battle over his very name. In 2024, a Philadelphia-based wedding band called Jelly Roll filed a complaint against him, claiming his stage name violated their trademark. The group argued that his success tanked their online visibility, making it harder for them to book gigs. Their attorney accused Jelly of ignoring cease and desist demands and continuing to use their mark despite the alleged harm. But Jelly Roll, born Jason DeFord, has carried the nickname since childhood. He first used it professionally in 2003 with the release of the Plain Schmear tape, and over the years it became inseparable from his identity. Walking away from it now isn't even on the table. The band might see him as a threat to their brand, but for Jelly, the name is more than a label. It's a legacy. From lawsuits and fan drama to viral faux pas, Jelly Roll has proven one thing time and again. Controversy doesn't slow him down. If anything, it fuels him, each headline becoming another plot twist in a story no one could have scripted. But the most unbelievable twist isn't about the courts or the charts. It's about Jelly himself. Jelly Roll's unbelievable transformation. For most of his life, Jelly Roll carried more than just the weight of his past. He carried the physical weight, too. At one point, the Antioch-born singer tipped the scales at over 540 pounds, a number that haunted him every time he looked in the mirror. Fast forward to now, and jaws are dropping. The man who once described being overweight as living in misery has shed 200 pounds, and his transformation is turning heads everywhere he goes. From red carpets to festival stages, fans can't help but notice the shift not just in how he looks, but in how he moves, how he speaks, and how fully he's embracing life. This change didn't come with a flashy gimmick or overnight fix. It began with something as ordinary as walking. In January 2024, he struggled to get through a single mile, but by May, he had stunned viewers at the Academy of Country Music Awards, showing off a slimmer frame just weeks after completing his first 5K in Los Angeles. Crossing that finish line wasn't only about endurance. It was the moment people started realizing Jelly Roll wasn't just talking about change, he was living it. As the pounds came off, so did old habits. He ran 2 to 3 miles a day, sweated it out in saunas, and dove headfirst into cold plunges. He cleaned up his diet, swapping greasy late-night meals for protein-packed plates. By summer, he was proudly saying he'd lost 70 pounds, and the headlines started rolling in. Suddenly, it wasn't just his music making waves, it was his commitment to rewriting his own story. By November 2024, he opened up about his toughest battle, food addiction. For nearly 40 years, food had been his comfort, his escape, and his downfall. Breaking that cycle wasn't easy, but once discipline kicked in, the progress snowballed. In his words, it became an avalanche. What once felt impossible was now visible proof that even the heaviest struggles can be lifted. By April 2025, Jelly Roll was on Jimmy Kimmel Live, admitting with a laugh that his method wasn't cool, just protein, vegetables, and a whole lot of walking. But when the numbers hit the screen, people were floored. He'd gone from 540 pounds to 357, and his face, energy, and presence looked entirely different. In August 2025, while giving a speech to the Tennessee Titans, he revealed the milestone that left everyone buzzing. 200 pounds gone. And true to form, he didn't just drop the number. He joked about chasing an NFL contract if he lost another 50. Even in transformation, Jelly Roll kept it real, humble, and relatable, which only made people cheer for him harder. But what makes his transformation truly shocking isn't just the slimmer frame, it's the new energy. On tour, he reinvented his culture. Instead of cocaine-fueled nights, it's now basketball games, long walks, and lattes with the crew. His nutritionist swapped fried chicken for air-fried hot chicken with bone broth fries, proving healthy food could still taste like home. He's hiked Camelback Mountain in Arizona, tackled runs, and set his sights on skydiving in Sweden with his wife, Bunny XO. Every step forward feels like a public declaration. The old Jelly Roll is gone, and the new one is impossible to ignore. He's even taken his goals beyond health. On his wife's Dumb Blonde podcast, he confessed he wants to land on the cover of Men's Health, and he wasn't shy about why. For years, he hid behind shame. Now, he wants people to see that his success came in spite of his size, not because of it. He's not interested in a quiet transformation. He wants the world to watch. And clearly, the world is watching. Of course, this isn't Jelly Roll's first attempt. In 2016, he lost 200 pounds before falling back into old habits and regaining much of it by 2018. Back then, he admitted he sought validation through women to mask insecurities about his size. If he could win attention, it dulled the sting of feeling unworthy. But now, his goals are different. They're about freedom. Roller coasters without fear of the harness. Bungee jumps without worrying about the weight limit. Maybe even wrestling an alligator just for the thrill. For him, dropping below 250 pounds isn't just about health. It's the threshold to living fully. In 2023, he recommitted. He vowed publicly to exercise, eat better, and stay accountable. This time, he's holding himself to it and letting fans see every step, stumble, and victory along the way. His transformation isn't polished or pretentious. It's raw, honest, and unfolding in real time. One minute he's sweating out miles on the road, the next he's cracking jokes about turning into a linebacker for the Titans. He even shared on Jimmy Kimmel Live that 250 pounds is his magic number, because that's where all the fun stuff in life opens up. That's what makes people root for him. Jelly Roll isn't just losing weight. He's proving that change is possible even after decades of struggle. From 540 pounds to 357, from food addiction to discipline, from shame to front-page headlines, Jelly Roll's transformation is more than a health journey. It's a spectacle, a source of inspiration, and a reminder that the biggest comebacks often start with the smallest steps. And the way things are going, his story is only getting bigger, even as he keeps getting smaller. What are your thoughts on Jelly Roll's transformation? Do you think he looks good? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.